Hearing this, Sita became elated and said, "If all that you have described comes true, then I will make certain you are afforded all protection from the wrath of my husband." However, Sita soon lapsed into her usual hopeless mood as she gazed at the Rakshasis around her. She thought, "What if Ravana kills me before Rama is able to come to save me? In this miserable situation, I cannot bear the torment." Desiring to end her life, Sita took the string binding her hair and knotted it tightly around her neck. Then she began tying the other end to the branch of an ashok tree. However, just at that moment, Sita again experienced many auspicious signs, and her mood brightened. At all the while, Hanuman had remained hidden, listening to Sita and the Rakshasis. He began considering the situation. "I must go to comfort Sita, for her intelligence has become covered due to her intense grief. I must somehow allay her fears and give her hope before returning to Rama. Indeed, at any time she may decide to give up her life out of despair. Still, how can I talk with her in the midst of these Rakshasis? Never mind, somehow I must do it. Rama will surely ask me if I have any message from Sita. If I reply I have none, he may decide to burn me to ashes with his anger. Therefore, I think both Sita and Rama need to be consoled with news of each other. I will go to meet Sita while her guards are inattentive. If I speak to her in Sanskrit, she will surely have faith in my words. However, if I speak like a Brahmana, she may think that I am Ravana, disguised as a mendicant. Perhaps if I address her in the Ayodhya dialect, she will believe me. But if she hears a monkey speaking like a human, she will still think I am Ravana. How perplex how perplexing this is, especially since Ravana can assume any form he likes. I must be very careful, for if she screams, her cries will alert the guards. If the guards see me, they will also become afraid because of my gigantic size. Thus, they will call for the help of Ravana's soldiers. Then I could be taken captive. Even if I were able to defeat all the Rakshasas, I would probably be too tired to jump back to the mainland. I must consider how to approach Sita very carefully, for a thoughtless messenger can ruin even the most perfect plan. After pondering his dilemma in great detail, Hanuman firmly concluded, "I will first sing Rama's praises to gain Sita's confidence. Then I shall deliver Rama's message to her." From within the branches of the great Ashoka tree, Hanuman began to recite. Descendant of Ikshvaku, King Dashrath was his name. Righteous and heroic, he ruled Ayodhya of fame. He received four mighty sons, Rama the loved of his heart, full of infinite potencies, Vishnu in a human part. To give Kekai her boons, into exile Rama was sent. Upholder of his father's vow, with Sita and Lakshmana he went. When Rama killed the Rakshasas, who filled the rishis with fear, Ravana kidnapped Sita with the help of Maricha the deer. Then, in his search for Sita, Rama made Sugriva a friend. To search the southern quarter, I, Hanuman, did he send. After crossing many mountains, I jumped the ocean vast, and thus I have succeeded in finding you at last. Rama will come to save you, his dearly beloved wife. Now give me a little message to save your husband's life. As Hanuman fell silent, Sita began looking up into the tree to find the speaker. When she sighted Hanuman, Sita thought she must be dreaming. It is inauspicious to see a monkey in dreams, she murmured to herself. Overwrought from anguish, Sita wept bitterly and then suddenly fainted. When she regained consciousness, she thought, after seeing a monkey in that nightmare, I should pray for the welfare of Rama and Lakshmana. But how could I have been dreaming? In my state of anguish, being separated from Rama, I cannot sleep even for a moment. It must have not been a dream. It must have been not a dream, but a hallucination. The monkey I saw could not have been real, for wherever I look, I see only Rama. My ears only hear Rama's voice, and I can think only of Rama and nothing else. I cannot believe the monkey was illusory, for he appeared so real. O lords Brahma, Indra, Surya, and Vayu, please let the monkey really exist, and let his words of Rama bring me auspiciousness. Hanuman came down from his hiding place in the tree. Standing before Sita with folded hands, he inquired, who are you? You appear to be a goddess, and I think you must be the consort of Rama. Sita was delighted to hear Rama's name, and in reply to Hanuman's questions, she practically narrated the entire story of her life. In conclusion, Sita explained, Ravana has given me only 2 more months to live. If Rama does not come here before then, I shall give up my life. Gaining confidence, Hanuman said, I am an envoy from Rama, and I can assure you he is quite well. Rama has sent me here to locate you. He anxiously inquires about your welfare. Sita was delighted. With great happiness, they continued talking to each other. However, as they became engrossed in conversation, Hanuman gradually began inching his way closer to Sita. Upon realizing this, Sita was suddenly seized with the thought that he was actually Ravana, disguised as a monkey. Then she exclaimed, Oh, how disgusting that I have been tricked into talking with you. Sita then sank to the ground, exhausted from grief. She rebuked Hanuman, saying, How abominable for you to come to me in a disguise. The next moment, however, Sita considered, I certainly feel delighted at heart to see this monkey. Perhaps my suspicions are false. Perhaps he really is a messenger from Rama. Then, composing herself, Sita again addressed Hanuman more favorably. Please tell me more of Rama. Your descriptions of him are most pleasing to my ears and heart. In truth, Sita was absorbed in intense ecstasy in separation from Rama. Thus, thus her talks were manifestations of transcendental madness. Like a deranged woman, Sita again began speculating. Maybe this monkey is a ghost. Perhaps I only imagine I see him, because I have become mentally unbalanced due to my agony. No, I should not even think like this. Why should I allow myself to become carried away by my disturbed mind? From his speech, it appears that this monkey came here in the service of Rama. However, how can I believe that a mere monkey could jump over the ocean to Lanka? It must be Ravana who has come here in disguise. Hanuman could understand Sita's doubts, and to allay her fears, he continued to glorify Rama and reassure her in various ways. Then, to test Hanuman, Sita said, Please tell me the story of how you met Rama. Also, describe to me in full detail the bodily features of Rama and his brother Lakshmana. Hanuman then said, O princess of Videha, Rama has eyes that resemble lotus petals. He has broad shoulders and mighty arms, and his neck is shaped like a conch. His eyes are coppery, and his voice deep, like the sound of a kettle drum. He is solid in 3 places, his breast, wrist, and fist. He is elevated in 3 places, his chest, the rim of his navel, and his abdomen. He is reddish in 3 places, his eyes, his nails, and palms, and the soles of his feet, and the soles of his feet. He is deep of voice, his navel is deep, and he walks swiftly. He has 3 folds of skin on the neck and belly. He is small in 4 places. neck, genitals, calves, and back. He walks with four different gaits, like a lion, like a tiger, like an elephant, and like a bull. 10 places on his body are like a lotus. His complexion, a mouth, eyes, tongue, lips, palate, breast, nails, hands, and feet. He is fine in 4 places: his bodily hair, skin, finger joints, and perception. Indeed, he has all these features and many more. The beauty of Lakshmana is also immeasurable. Lakshmana's complexion is golden, whereas Lord Rama's is dark greenish blue. I met the two brothers at the Rasyamukha mountain. When Rama saw the jewels you dropped in the midst of the monkeys while being carried away by Ravana, he became overwhelmed with joy and tears fell from his eyes. To establish an alliance of friendship with Sugriva, Rama killed Vali. To repay his favor, Sugriva initiated a great search for you all over the world by dispatching millions of monkeys. Now, by good fortune, I have located you in this remote place. I am the son of the mighty monkey Keshwari. My father originally resided in the Malaya hills and later moved to Gokarna mountain. When Sambhasadana was oppressing the celestial rishis, Keshari killed the great demon at their request. Thereafter I was begot by the wind god Vayu through the womb of Keshari's consort. After hearing Hanuman's description of Rama, Sita became convinced that she was indeed a messenger sent by her husband. She began shedding tears of joy. Hanuman then took the opportunity to give Rama's ring to Sita. Recognizing it and seeing the name of her beloved on the insigned band, Sita's face blossomed with joy, as if she were experiencing the arrival of Rama himself. She said, "O Hanuman, I am eternally indebted to you for this gift. You are so magnanimous to have come here for my sake. Now please tell me more about Rama." With folded hands, Hanuman replied, "It's only because Rama does not know where you are that he has not come here to rescue you. Without you, Rama does not know a moment's peace of mind. Truly, as soon as I return and inform Rama of your presence here, he will immediately come and kill Ravana." Sita then urged, "You must stress to Rama the urgency of the matter, for after 2 months Ravana will kill me." Ravana's younger half brother Vibhishana has repeatedly pleaded with Ravana to return me to Rama. Likewise, Vibhishana's eldest daughter has told me how a wise old minister named Avindhya forewarned Ravana of the imminent destruction of the Rakshasas at the hands of Rama. But Ravana refuses to listen to this advice. Hanuman suggested, "If you like, I can immediately deliver you to Rama by carrying you to Kishkinda on my back. On my back. I am sure that the Rakshasas could not keep up with me as I fly across the ocean." Sita was thrilled to hear this prospect, but still she replied, "Your proposal seems quite like what a monkey would present. How can someone so small even think of carrying me across the ocean?" Hanuman was a little offended by this remark, and so he thought, "How little she thinks of me." Then, to demonstrate his prowess, Hanuman revealed his gigantic form, boasting, "If you like, I can uproot the entire city of Lanka. Then, along with Ravana, I will carry it back to Rama. So please give up your doubts about me." Sita admitted, "You are certainly strong enough to carry me across the ocean. However, I do not think it such a good idea. What if I become faint as you dash across the ocean and fall into the shark and crocodile infested water? Moreover, when the Rakshasas rally and attack you, You will be fully engaged in fighting with them. What will happen to me? Even if you somehow manage to kill the Rakshasas, this would only serve to diminish the glory of Rama. O Hanuman, since I am completely devoted to my husband, I do not want to touch the body of anyone else but Rama. When Ravana kidnapped me, I was helpless and had no choice. However, Rama must now come here himself to rescue me after killing the wicked Ravana. This act alone would be worthy of enhancing his glorious reputation. Hanuman replied, I appreciate your statements, which are just befitting the chaste and righteous wife of Rama. I will now leave, but first please give me some token that I can give to Rama to help me convince him that I have actually met you. With tear filled eyes, Sita replied in a faint voice, O Hanuman, to convince Rama that you have met me, you may relate to him the following incident. One day, while we were residing at Chitrakoot, after playing in the water, Rama, still dripping wet, sat down on my lap. At that time, a crow came and began pecking at me, as though eager to eat my flesh. I picked up a lump of dirt to throw to scare it away, but the determined crow remained on the scene, hiding nearby. Becoming angered, I accidentally pulled the string that held my slip, causing it to fall down. Seeing this, Rama laughed heartily, taking advantage of my flustered countenance. In the meantime, the crow returned and again pecked at me. I took shelter of Rama by sitting on his lap, and he comforted me, wiping the tears from my eyes. Feeling exhausted, I soon fell asleep in Rama's arms, and soon he too dozed off. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the crow suddenly swooped down and clawed at my breasts. This awakened Rama, who felt drops of my blood falling on him. Seeing the cuts on my breasts, Rama became enraged and asked me to identify the culprit. Then, before I could answer, he saw the crow sitting at a distance, his claws dripping with blood. In great anger, Rama took a blade of kusha grass from his mat and surcharged it with the power of a brahmastra. As the straw burst into flames, Rama hurled it at the crow. Then, as the bird flew up in the sky, the kusha grass weapon followed it. This crow was, however, the son of Indra, and while being chased by the Brahmastra, he tried to obtain shelter all over the universe. But even his father was powerless to help him. Finally, the crow came and surrendered to Rama. Out of compassion, Rama forgave the pale, exhausted bird, but he said, this Brahmastra cannot be ineffectual, therefore it must be directed somewhere. Saying this, Rama directed the weapon to destroy the crow's right eye. Thereafter, Indra's son departed, and after offering his obeisances, Sita became overwhelmed with sorrow while relating her pastime with Rama. Then, with tear strained eyes, she said, O Hanumana, formerly Rama used the Brahmastra against an insignificant crow. Why does he not attack Ravana now? Does Rama no longer have any affection for me? In former life, I must have committed an abominable sin to cause Rama to disregard me now. Hoping to encourage the despondent Sita, Hanuman reassured her. Rama is feeling great separation from you and is merged in the ocean of sorrow. Now please give me some object that I can show to Rama. Sita sighed and said, at least I now have some real hope of being rescued. Somehow you must urge Rama to come quickly, for I must pass another month away from him. I will surely die from grief. Sita produced a bright jewel from her cloth that she formerly used to ornament her head. Giving it to Hanuman, Sita said, when Rama sees this jewel, he will remember three persons, since it was given to me by my mother as a dowry gift in the presence of Rama and his father. O Hanumana, Please return quickly and urge Rama to quickly terminate my unbearable suffering. Hanuman then circumambulated Sita and was about to depart, when in a voice choked with tears, Sita said, "Please convince Rama to hasten to my rescue." Hanuman replied, "Do not worry. Soon you shall see Rama, Lakshmana, and the heroic monkeys as they come here to slay Ravana and the Rakshasas." Sita pleaded, "Please stay for just one more day. By your association, I have gained some small relief from my intolerable miseries. Oh, why do I even bother to raise my hopes? How will the monkeys be able to cross the vast ocean? I do not think that even Rama and Lakshmana have the capacity, but only Garuda, Vayu, or yourself. Hanuman, I know you could rescue me single handed. However, I request that somehow enable Rama to kill all the Rakshasas and save me, for that will eternally enhance his glorious reputation." Hanuman replied, "All the monkeys in Sugriva's army are equal or superior to me. Surely they will all easily reach Lanka. It's only inferior persons like myself that are sent on errands. Please give up all your doubts for good. If need be, I will cross over the ocean carrying Rama and Lakshmana on my back." Sita then replied, "O Hanuman, I again urge you to see that my rescue is hastened. I do not know how much longer I shall be able to survive under these conditions. I will give you one more message for Rama. Remind him of the time he painted my cheeks with a red mineral to replace the decorations that had worn off." As Hanuman prepared to depart, Sita repeatedly implored him to hasten her rescue. Hanuman then considered, "My mission would not be complete without ascertaining the true strength of the Rakshasas. Therefore, I shall destroy this Ashoka grove, the pleasure garden of Ravana, just to provoke his anger. When the king of the Rakshasas sends his army to attack me, I will destroy it and return to Rama." Thereafter, Hanuman started knocking down and uprooting Ashoka trees. He stirred up the ponds and crushed the hilltops. Then, after practically destroying the entire garden, he made his stand at the entrance. Hare Krishna, I'll request Aditya Prabhu to please continue reading.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी धन्यवाद प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Upon hearing the frightened screams of the birds and animals, along with other sounds created by Hanuman's rampage, the Rakshasi guards awoke with a start. Seeing Hanuman's huge form standing at the garden entrance, their hearts filled with terror. The Rakshasis surrounded Sita and asked, "Who is this creature? What were you and he conversing about?" Sita denied knowing who Hanuman was, saying, "He must be a ferocious Rakshasa. Since you are all Rakshasas, it is you that should know him, not I. I too am terrified by his huge, frightening appearance." While some of the Rakshasis remained guarding Sita, others went and reported the matter to Ravana. Reverently bowing to their king, the Rakshasi said, "A huge, powerful monkey has come here. After talking to Sita, he devastated the entire Ashoka grove, except for the small area where Sita stays. When we asked Sita about him, however, she claimed not to know him. Ravana immediately became enraged and dispatched 80,000 fierce Rakshasas to go and capture Hanuman. When the army came before him, brandishing their weapons, Hanuman further expanded his form and began lashing his tail violently, making a sound so loud that it reverberated throughout Lanka. Hanuman then challenged, I am a servant of Lord Rama. If I like, I can kill 1,000 Ravanas. As Hanuman roared menacingly, the Rakshasas were struck with fear. Regardless, they began attacking him from all sides. Hanuman grabbed an iron bar lying at the gate and, while flying through the air, he slaughtered the whole Rakshasa army. The few survivors hurried back to Ravana to inform him of the massacre. Upon hearing the news, Ravana's eyes rolled with rage. He then ordered the extremely powerful son of Prahasta, named Jambumali, to go and fight Hanuman. Meanwhile, Hanuman began to destroy the immense temple of the Rakshasas' guardian deity located in the Ashoka Grove. As he climbed up the edifice, which was as big as a large hill, Hanuman tore it to pieces with his claws, making crashing sounds that reverberated throughout Lanka. Hanuman then shouted, May there be victory for Rama and Lakshmana. My name is Hanuman, and I will now destroy Lanka within the sight of the Rakshasas. Although the sound of Hanuman's voice struck terror into the hearts, the 100 guards of the sanctuary took up their weapons and surrounded him. The enraged Hanuman then broke off one of the temple columns and, assuming a terrible aspect, he whirled the column around so that fire was generated as it struck the other pillars. Thus, as Hanuman destroyed the guards with the blazing pillar, the entire edifice became engulfed in flames. Again and again, Hanuman shouted, Let there be victory for Rama, Lakshmana, and the monkeys. Jambumali then arrived on the scene, riding upon a chariot drawn by donkeys, while the twanging of his bow filled the entire sky with its awesome vibration. Without wasting time, Jambumali struck Hanuman in the mouth with one arrow and his arms with 10 more. As blood covered his entire face, the infuriated Hanuman grabbed a huge rock and hurled it at Jambumali with great force. Jambumali, however, broke it to pieces with 10 arrows. Hanuman then uprooted a large tree and began to whirl it around. Jambumali easily broke the tree into pieces with 4 arrows, even before it left Hanuman's hands. The Rakshasa then pierced Hanuman's arms with 5 arrows and his chest with 10 more shafts and a dart. Hanuman remained undaunted. The great monkey warrior then picked up an iron bar and twirled it forcefully, smashing it against Jambumali's chest. The iron bar hit the Rakshasa so violently that his head, legs, chariot, and donkeys could no longer be distinguished from one another. Hearing of Jambumali's death, Ravana became further enraged and commanded the 7 sons of his chief minister to attack Hanuman with a large army. Thereafter, when the Rakshasas approached the Ashoka grove upon their chariots, they saw Hanuman stationed at the garden's arched gate. The Rakshasas immediately began showering their arrows so heavily that Hanuman was momentarily obscured from view. Hanuman, however, leaped into the sky, thus avoiding their onslaught. Then he charged, roaring loudly. Within moments, Hanuman struck down innumerable Rakshasas with his hands and feet, while he tore others to pieces with his nails. Others were crushed by the impact of Hanuman's chest and thighs, while still others simply fell to the ground, stunned with fear from Hanuman's roar. When all seven of the chief minister's sons were slain, the remaining warriors panicked and fled. Hanuman returned to the archway, waiting further combat. Ravana then sent five of his leading generals along with a large army, saying, I want you to capture this Hanuman, for he could not be a mere monkey. He must be a super powerful being. Thereafter, the Rakshasa army assailed Hanuman from all sides. The general named Durdhara released five arrows that pierced Hanuman in the forehead. This merely infuriated Hanuman, who swelled immensely in size. Then, leaping into the sky, he fell upon Durdhara's chariot like lightning striking a mountain. From the impact of Hanuman's gigantic body, the chariot was smashed to pieces, and Durdhara and the horses were crushed to death. Enraged at the destruction of their comrade, two other generals named Virupaksha and Upaksha suddenly sprang into the air and struck Hanuman's chest with their clubs. Undaunted, Hanuman swooped down to the ground, uprooted a tall tree, and struck the two generals dead. The two remaining generals, Prakasha and Basakarna, then came before Hanuman and pierced him with a spear and dart, causing his body to become covered with blood. The enraged Hanuman then quickly tore off a mountain peak with all its animals and trees and pounded the two Rakshasas into mere pulp. With the five generals out of the way, Hanuman effortlessly destroyed the rest of the army. Hanuman killed the horses by wielding other dead horses and crushed elephants with other elephants. He struck dead the soldiers with other slain warriors and smashed chariots by wielding other broken chariots. After covering the ground with many mutilated dead bodies, Hanuman once more stationed himself at the archway. Upon hearing of this massacre, Ravana simply glanced at his son Aksha, who was seated close by. Desirous of battle, the prince understood his father's indication, eagerly leapt from his seat in the assembly. He then mounted his mystical chariot, which could travel through the air and was drawn by 8 horses. As he approached the Ashoka grove, Aksha began showering all his arrows on Hanuman. As he came to close quarters, a fierce duel ensued, which made the earth begin to quake. The sun became dim, and the wind ceased to blow. When Aksha managed to pierce Hanuman's head with 3 arrows, Hanuman began to expand his body, while the Rakshasa warrior continued to shower arrows on him. The young Yaksha was childishly proud of his strength and came fearlessly before Hanuman, like an elephant approaching a well covered by grass. After being struck by Aksha's arrows, Hanuman assumed an awesome feature and sprang into the air. Aksha closely followed him while constantly releasing his arrows. However, Hanuman successfully dodged them while coursing through the sky. When an arrow suddenly pierced his chest, Hanuman mentally praised the skill of his enemy, thinking, although a young boy, this Rakshasa is fighting very heroically, and I really do not wish to kill him. However, as the battle progresses, his prowess only increases. If I do not kill him, I may become defeated. Therefore, it behooves me to kill him immediately, just as a spreading fire should be extinguished at once. Increasing his speed, Hanuman killed all of Aksha's horses with a slap of his hand, causing the disabled chariot to fall to the ground, smashed to pieces. Aksha took up his bow and sword, jumped from the ruined chariot, and ascended into the sky like a rishi on his way to heaven. Agile Hanuman, however, caught Aksha by the legs. Then, spinning him around thousands of times, he dashed the son of Ravana violently to the ground. With all his limbs broken and his chest crushed, Aksha gave up his life while vomiting blood. Having witnessed Hanuman's victory, the rishis stationed in the sky gazed upon him with wonder, while Ravana's heart filled with terror. As Hanuman again stationed himself at the archway, waiting the next onslaught of Rakshasas, the infuriated Ravana checked his anger and summoned Indrajit, his eldest son. Ravana said to him, "In warfare, you are unparalleled and equal only to me. You have conquered the King of Heaven along with all the demigods and have received weapons from Lord Brahma himself. Now go and do whatever is necessary to subdue this mysterious enemy." Hanuman felt great joy when he heard the twang of Indrajit's bow. As the Rakshasa came before him, riding his chariot, as Indrajit showered his arrows, Hanuman roared loudly and expanded himself, then rose up into the sky to avoid the onslaught. In the fighting that ensued, Indrajit could not find any opportunity to pierce Hanuman's with his arrows, nor could Hanuman strike Indrajit. Upon seeing the futility of his weapons, Indrajit considered Hanuman incapable of being killed. He began to think of how to capture him instead. Then Indrajit employed a special Brahmastra that immediately bound up Hanuman, making him fall to the ground, practically bereft of consciousness. Hanuman could understand that he was being bound up the power of Lord Brahma in the form of a weapon. At the same time, he could remember receiving a benediction from Lord Brahma that such a weapon would lose its effectiveness after a short while. Therefore, Hanuman thought, I cannot free myself just now, but still I have nothing to fear. Rather than considering this a setback, I should take it as a good opportunity to see Ravana firsthand. Even though I have been taken captive, I am certain that from the benediction of Lord Brahma, I will soon free myself. Some of the Rakshasa warriors then came and tied Hanuman with strong ropes. As they bound him, they abused him with harsh words. However, as soon as Hanuman was tied up there by their ropes, the effects of the Brahmastra became nullified. Because that weapon's power could not be used in conjunction with another means of bondage. In this case, the soldiers attempted to tie Hanuman with ropes. However, Hanuman allowed himself to be tied up by the Rakshasas, pretending to feel pain so he could get a chance to meet Ravana. Indrajit could understand that Hanuman was feigning bondage, being freed from the effects of the Brahmastra. Thus he thought, the capture of Hanuman has been rendered useless by these thoughtless Rakshasas. Moreover, now that the Brahmastra has been nullified, it cannot be evoked again against the same adversary. While Indrajit pondered over this predicament, the Rakshasas dragged Hanuman into the presence of Ravana, while excitedly saying amongst themselves, who is this monkey like creature? We should kill him at once. Eat him up. Let's roast him. Hanuman was face to face with Ravana. Ravana ordered his ministers to interrogate Hanuman. In reply to their questions, Hanuman said, I am a messenger from Sugriva, the king of the monkeys, who sends you his best wishes. The noble minded Sugriva hopes that you are conducting yourself according to the principles of religion and that your kingdom is therefore prospering. Inwardly, Hanuman was enraged at being captured, and at the thought of how Ravana had kidnapped Sita further inflamed his anger. However, as he gazed upon the king of the Rakshasas seated upon his crystal throne, Hanuman thought, with Ravana's charm, presence of mind, courage, splendor, and auspicious bodily symptoms, he would have surpassed even Indra in glory had he not become adverse to righteousness. Likewise, Ravana was enraged yet felt apprehensive while looking at Hanuman. Ravana wondered, is this Nandi, the bull carrier of Lord Shiva, who previously cursed me when I mocked him? Or is this Bana, the king of the Asuras disguised as a monkey? Prahasta, the foremost of Ravana's minister, then assured Hanuman, if you simply tell us the real reason why you have come here, we will let you go free. Hanuman replied, as a curious monkey, I have simply come here with the desire of meeting Ravana. I knew that an insignificant person like me would have a difficult time gaining the king's audience. Therefore, I destroyed the pleasure garden with the hope that I would be captured and brought to the royal assembly. I didn't intend to harm anyone, but when the Rakshasa warriors attacked me, I was forced to kill them in self defense. Long ago, I received a benediction from Lord Brahma that I could not be bound by any weapon or ropes. Thus, you should know that I have purposefully allowed myself to be captured. The power of Indrajit's Brahmastra has already been nullified. Now, please listen as I disclose the real reason for my coming here. My name is Hanuman, and I have been sent as an envoy of Lord Rama, the son of Maharaja Dasharatha. For a long time, I have been searching for Rama's abducted wife Sita, and it was my good fortune to find her here. O king of the Rakshasas, please know for certain that no one is immune to the arrows of Rama and Lakshmana, not even the self born Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Indra dare to face Rama on the battlefield. O Ravana, you are the knower of religious principles. One who is actually wise would never court disaster by giving up the path of virtue. Please take my advice and give Sita back to Rama before it is too late. Previously, you gained immunity from death at the hands of the demigods and demons by virtue of your severe austerities. Likewise, you should now realize that your unrighteous act of abducting Sita will bring about disaster for you. Even I could annihilate all of Lanka, what to speak of Rama, who can dissolve and recreate the entire cosmic manifestation. Hanuman's speech simply made Ravana more furious. As his reddish eyes rolled in anger, he screamed, kill this monkey at once. Shall I stop, Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please. So,
Thank you, Prabhu.
thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So, I'll request devotees if they have any questions, they can post it in the questions tab, um, and then we will answer them in the end of the session. And now I'll request Shiv Kumar Prabhu to please continue the reading. I'll give him access.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanvat Pranam. You can continue reading,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. However, in a gentle voice, Vibhishana advised, my dear elder brother, it is not proper to put messengers to death. You are certainly a great scholar. However, all your knowledge will be void if you become swayed by uncontrolled anger. Ravana. Ravana, however, did not appreciate this unwanted advice. He angrily replied, there is no sin incurred for killing an evil doer. Let Hanuman die. Vibhishana then argued, in the scriptures there is no injunction that a messenger can be killed. Indeed, it is unheard of. The only punishments that can be administered are mutilation of the limbs, flogging, shaving of the head, and branding. My dear Ravana, great heroes like yourself never fall prey to the influence of uncontrolled anger. I suggest that you try to kill the enemy who sent Hanuman and not Hanuman himself. Why don't you send your army to fight with Rama and Lakshmana, for it is they who seek revenge. By the influence of his pious brother, Ravana finally relented, saying, monkeys always raise their tails very highly. Therefore, set fire to his tail and parade Hanuman through the streets of Lanka. Then the people can see what kind of hero he is. Afterwards, he can be released to return to his relatives with a burnt tail and suffer great humiliation. Being so commanded, the Rakshasas then wrapped cotton rags around Hanuman's tail and soaked the cloth in oil. As the rags were set ablaze, Hanuman expanded himself in a fit of rage and began beating the Rakshasas by lashing his tail about. The Rakshasas, however, took hold of Hanuman and tied him more tightly. Indeed, Hanuman allowed this, for he wanted to take a tour of Lanka to better inspect its fortifications. The Rakshasas rudely dragged Hanuman through the city streets, announcing to the people that they had captured a spy. As all the women, children, and elders curiously came out to see the prisoner, the Rakshasi gods informed Sita of Hanuman's plight. Hearing this, Sita became greatly distressed and meditated upon Agni, praying, if I have earned any pious credit by my devotion and austerities, then let them be utilized so that the fire feels cool to Hanuman. Just then, the sacrificial fire maintained by Sita began to burn wildly. Thereafter, the fire on Hanuman's tail burned coolly as Vayu blew ice winds. Hanuman wondered, why am I not being burned, although the flames are blazing brightly? Indeed, it feels as if the Rakshasas have wrapped ice around my tail. Surely this is due to the mercy of either Rama or Sita. Then Hanuman considered, it is not befitting a great warrior and servant of Lord Rama to be bound up and made a laughing stock by these Rakshasas. I have had enough of this humiliation. In the twinkling of an eye, Hanuman slipped from his bonds by suddenly shrinking in size. Then, jumping into the air with a shout, Hanuman instantly assumed his gigantic form and picked up an iron bar lying at the city gates. In a moment, Hanuman killed the gods and then considered, what else can I do to torment Ravana and the Rakshasas before returning to Rama? Since my tail is ablaze, why not use it to engulf Lanka in a great conflagration? His mind made up, Hanuman jumped onto the roof of the Prime Minister's palace, setting it afire. Then, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, he ignited a great fire that spread all over Lanka, avoiding only the palace of the pious Vibhishana. Hanuman also went within many places, including Ravana's. Because of the raging winds, the fires soon blazed out of control, causing the upper stories of the palaces to crumble and crash to the ground. The intense heat melted the gold and silver, which then mixed with pearls and other jewels and flowed out into the streets like lava. A great uproar was then heard among the Rakshasas as they tried to save themselves and their possessions. Anguished cries and loud wails reached a pitiful climax as multitudes of Rakshasas, horses, and elephants were burned. Igniting the fat from the burning bodies, the fire began blazing higher and higher, so much so that it appeared that the time of universal destruction had come. In a state of panic, the inhabitants of Lanka exclaimed, "Is this Agni himself ravaging our city in the form of a monkey? Or is it Indra, Brahma, time personified, or the unlimited energy of Lord Vishnu coming here to destroy us all?" After going around the entire city, Hanuman paused to gaze upon the fire, feeling great satisfaction. Then Hanuman went to the ocean and extinguished the fire on his tail and contemplated his return to Rama. As he again turned to witness the fire consuming Lanka, Hanuman suddenly became filled with a terrible apprehension as he heard the screams of the dying Rakshasas. "What a fool I have been to set fire to Lanka," Hanuman thought. "What if Sita has also been burned? Just see the result of uncontrolled anger. It is the most sinful trait of the living entity, for it causes him to act indiscriminately. Indeed, what is there that an enraged man will not do or say? A person under the sway of anger can murder his own guru or parents and insult the great souls. Only one who has learned to control his anger deserves to be called a human being. If I have caused the death of Sita, then I have killed my master as well, and shall have to give up my life as atonement. To hell with the foolish nature of monkeys, which produces actions born of passion and anger. Passionate acts always give uncertain results. In this case, I may have brought about mass destruction. If Sita has died, Rama and Lakshmana will no longer be able to live. Then, one after the other, Bharata, Shatrugna, Sugriva, and many others will give up their lives. Without the shelter of these exalted persons, all other living entities will gradually become disinterested in life. Thus, it may be that I have unwittingly become the cause for the destruction of the entire world. Prabhu, should I continue?
Prabhu, we can stop here
Okay.
for today.
Okay.
Thank you so much for reading it.
Thank you.
And devotees, if they have any questions, this is the call. They can ask the questions in the questions tab, or they can be granted access to the mic. I would like, I would try to answer them to the best of my ability. Okay, so we'll stop here today, and we'll continue reading from page number 319 tomorrow. All glories to Lord Rama, Hanumana, Sita, and Lakshmana. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuveva cha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण.